everyone and welcome back to my channel. We're now on to the final part of our kitten, so we're going to get this paw in first, the black blanket and the stack fur. So everything you need as usual is listed in the description box below. If you've got any questions, let me know. Don't forget to like and subscribe, hit the notification bell so you know every time I upload, and let's get going. So I'm going to start with the white pencil. And we're just going to map in some of these white hairs that are coming from the paw especially into this darker area and kind of upwards. That way we create that little resist like we've done with the whiskers and some of the coat up here. So I'm just going to get my putty eraser and I'm just going to lift the top of this paw. And then I'm just going to come in with the white and draw in some of these hairs that are coming up from this paw, and I'm using the sharp point of the white pencil, always making sure it's the sharp point that I'm using. And we've got a little bit of white on the leg itself. Okay, and then I'm just going to lift a little bit of the putty of the graphite again. Just sharpen my white, so I'm always making sure that I'm using the sharp point. And then we've got some fur coming across here. Okay, and then again lift some of the graphite from the edge of that paw here. And I'm just focusing on the paw because this is the section we're going to work on, this big section of paw first. Now I'm hoping that we will get this part of the tutorial finished, or the whole tutorial finished, but I don't want to rush. And this area is going to be fairly complicated, so we will see. Right, I'm happy with the amount of white I've got down. We're going to use our pencils to create the other fur markings. So I'm going to get my coal grey one first of all, and I'm going to do this leg. And I'm going to do this leg first because it's going to give us the darkness to ensure how light we need to go with the paw itself. So I'm just following that fur direction. Let me just keep lifting graphite where you need to. And if there's any areas I want to preserve some of the fur, I'll just draw around those areas. And then we're going straight to where that blanket is, and we've got a straight line. And then this fur's curving down here. So I'm just going to use the coal grey one as the base layer across all of this leg. And then I'm just going to lift the graphite. Every time I'm coming up to the edge, I'm going to lift that graphite with a putty eraser. And again, just lifting the graphite so that I can do this edge, which the fur's coming down here. And we'll be able to map in this fur direction clearly as we bring in more layers. We're just getting a feel for what the fur's doing as we draw in this leg. Okay, right, now we've got that base layer down, I'm going to take my Cold Grey 2 and I'm going to start building up the depth in this fur. So at this point I'm really focusing on keeping a sharp pencil and making sure that my pencil strokes are going in the correct direction of the fur. So we're curving over and then it's coming down. We want to get the shape of this leg drawn in. And I'm using medium pressure. I'm not pressing too hard, but enough that we're getting some nice dark pigment down on this paper. And again, I'm just going to bring this along here. Make sure that you go right up to that paw, where that paw is. We don't want a white halo around it. And I'm just going to blend that outwards. And again, bring that Cold Grey 2 in. Along this leg. And I'm creating those loose flyaway hairs that you can see on the end of the leg as well. Just by lifting my pencil off the page and reducing the pressure as we do it. I'm going to go back to my Cold Grey 1 and just sharpen it. I want a nice sharp point. And again, just building up that layer, but I'm building up another layer of the Cold Grey 1 over what we already had mapped in. I'm going over the Cold Grey 2 so that we get that smooth transition between the Cold Grey 1 and the Cold Grey 2. Okay, then I'm going to take my Cold Grey 3 because we're getting a lot darker down here. Sharp pencil again, right up to the edge of that paw. You see how we've got in that really nice dark distinction between the areas. I'm just going to bring that across and blend outwards. I also want to get my warm grey 2 because we've got that warmer tone in this corner, so I'm going to bring in the warm grey 2 over the Cold Grey. So remember, we're blending, every time we bring in another colour, we're blending over what we've already got. We want to create that seamless blend, and by blending over what we've got, it's going to help us get that transition that we want. And I'm bringing that warm grey 2 up this leg as well, because we've got some warmer tones. I'm going to grab my warm grey 1. It'll just be an isotone here. So the warm grey 1 up this side. Okay, and then the white over all of this. So it's just going to help us get that nice burnished look that we've done for the rest of the cat. And it does help ever so slightly with your blending. Okay, so we can see now we need to darken some of these areas up again. So I've got my warm grey 2, and we'll do this transition between the body and the leg. Just want to define that a little bit more. And again, I'm not pressing hard, medium pressure. And you can see we're just getting that little bit of definition in there now. I'm going to get my cold grey 3, bring that along here again. So I'm literally just building up the tonal values. Let's call it warm grey 2 again. And then I'm going to take the cold grey 1 and go over all of this part of the leg again. I'm just going to get my warm grey 2, bring it right up to where that blanket line is. I've not done that. And a few little stray hairs. And then my white, and I'm going to use that white over those stray hairs just to soften them down. Slightly out of focus there. Okay. Right, we've got a really darker bit of fur in here. So I've got my warm grey 4, nice and sharp, and we're just going to map in these little V-like shapes along this bottom area here. And then light pressure and blend it outwards. And then the warm grey 2. So, and then the white. I'm actually going to get my, I want my Nougat, I think. Take the Nougat. And I'm just adding a bit of a brownish tone in there as well. Yeah, that looks better. Okay. Okay, I'm also going to just take the warm grey 3 and just darken a little bit more this corner. So you can see we're just starting to really build up, even though it's white fur, starting to build up the shadows. Remember, the white fur is just reflecting what's around it. Right, let's move on to this paw. So we're going to start from this side and come across. And we're going to start the cold grey 1 as a base. Just going to lift that graphite. So again, following that fur direction. And I'm just doing one little toe at a time. And then I'm going straight in with the warm grey 5. Not pressing hard though, just light pressure. And then the cold grey 4. Again, not pressing hard, just building up those tonal values. And then my cold grey 2 over the top of what we've just drawn in. And up this foot. I'm just going to bring in some little stray hairs. And then I'm going to just use the cold grey 1 again. So you can see we're starting to get the shape of this toe. Back back to my warm grey 3, use the sharp side, and I want to bring in some details. So we're sort of bringing in that edge of this toe is what we're drawing in. And then the warm grey 1. Back to the warm grey 5. Bit of a harder pressure. Press down into here. And then the cold grey 2. Just bring this toe up around here. Okay, and then my white. And I keep using this white because I've done it throughout the whole piece, so it just makes the piece look uniformed. Now we do have like a brown part to the toe, which I'm just going to bring in with the burnt umber. Again, following the fur direction, just along here. And then I'm going to get my beige red to give that pinkish tone. So this is just going over that burnt umber area. Okay, next toe, and I'm going to use the warm grey 1 this time as the base layer because this part is a bit warmer in colour. And then over the top of that, I'm going to go in here, this corner, with warm grey 3. Okay. And I'm going to keep that warm grey 3 coming down the side here. Back to the burnt umber. Again, following that fur direction. And the beige red. Okay, and then I'm going to take the white. And I'm using harder pressure, just try and create a little white line coming there. Take my warm grey 4, just to create that illusion that there's a bit of fur coming across here. Okay, back to the cold grey 1 on this part of the toe. So you can see, even though we're just doing this area of toe, there's still warm and cold areas. So only half of this toe is cold. I'll just blend out slightly, and then I'll go to the warm grey 1, and this side use the warm grey 1. And I'm actually going to use it all the way up here because it's quite a warm yellowish tone on the top of this foot as well. And then bring that down as we do this toe. Okay. I'm then going to take my cold grey 2 first, and we're going to bring in some details with the cold grey 2. Just need to sharpen that actually. So I can see I wasn't getting much pigment down on the paper, so I'm just going to give it a sharpen so that I get a sharp point. And then hopefully with this sharper point, there we go, you can see I'm getting that pigment laying down nicely on top of these base layers. so. Okay, and then as we come further down the foot, I'm going to get the coal grey 4. So remember, down here we've got that black blanket, so we want this area to be dark because it's going to be reflecting the darker tones. So this is the coal grey 4. And then I'm going to get the warm grey 5. Again, just making sure that all these areas blend really smoothly together. Make it look like it's part of the same little toe. So how long are we in? 20 minutes in so far. Yeah, I'm not quite sure I want to rush this and get it all done in this one go. So I might make it an 8-part tutorial. Again, the coal grey 2. Let's see. Right, the warm grey 2 again, just on this toe. Okay, I'm also going to take my warm grey 3, and I'm going to bring in some of that detail in on this warmer side. And again, we've got that pinkish tone going on, so we need to add that in a minute. So we'll get the burnt umber again. Bring that burnt umber down. I'm going over that warm grey area as well with this burnt umber. And then the beige red. And then I can get my white over the top of all of this. I'm just going to burnishes that out really nicely. So we've got 2 little toes going on now. Right, I'm just going back to my burnt umber, and I'm just going to bring this slightly across this toe. And you can see how I'm just using smaller lines and we're creating these white flecks of fur. And then I'm going to take my warm grey 3 and I'm just going to darken this toe up. It's just a little bit too light on this side of the toe. It can be lighter towards the top here, but this area just needed to be a little bit darker. And the warm grey 5. Now this area looks quite messy, but we've got the black blanket that it's the Kitten's laid on top of to draw in, and we're going to blend that blanket into this foot. So I'm not worried about the bottom of the feet as much. Okay, back to coal grey 1 as a base layer. For the next toe, I just need to lift that graphite line. Okay, and that's going to blend upwards into that warm grey 1 base layer. So we'll get the warm grey 1. Okay, and then we are going to take our warm grey 3. And with the warm grey 3, we're just going to build up the bottom of this toe. So you can bring that your warm grey 3 down where we got that black, because we're going to blend some of the black blanket into the fur, which will add more dimension to our feet as well, or our little cat's feet. And then I'm going into the coal grey 2 Again, we've got that pinkish tone that we need to draw in a minute. But hopefully you're starting to see a nice kitten paw come into life. Taking my white just over that greys that we've just done. One grey free again. And then I'm going to the burnt umber. Mapping in a darker tone along the outside of that tone. And then the beige red. Along the top here. And the one grey one. I'm going to take the one grey 5 again, just along the bottom. It's going to act as a nice transition colour between that black and this white foot. Okay, next toe. So back to the coal grey one. Oh, I've got a little scratch mark on my piece of paper there. So if you ever get any, I don't know if you can see that on the camera, kind of, there's a little scratch mark on my piece of paper. It does sometimes happen with a Fabriano. Don't worry about it. What you want to do is just ignore it and just keep building up your layers as normal, rather than trying to fill it in. The more you try to fill in that scratch mark, the more obvious it's going to become. This is the coal grey 3. And the beige red up this side of the toe. And then back to the coal grey 3. Just darkening this bottom toe. And then the coal grey 1, which I just need to sharpen mine. I'm going to have to get a new coal grey pencil out. Very near the bottom of this one. Coal grey 1. Oops. And then the warm grey 1. Back to that burnt umber. And I'm going to bring that burnt umber along the bottom here a little bit. Back to the warm grey 5, over that burnt umber on the toe itself. Coal grey 2. So you can see I'm just building up these layers, building up the colours. And then back to the white, over all that layers. Just going to take my coal grey 3. Just want to blend that out a little nicer. It's looking a little too harsh there, so just going to blend out along there. And then I'm just going to take my warm grey 2, bring in some little details on that top part of the foot here. Right, last toe. So, going in with the warm grey 1 as the base layer this time. I'm going to go over this with the coal grey. So the coal grey 1 over the top. Now we've got quite a reddish tone in here, so I'm going to stick first of all with the burnt umber, and it's sort of in between where I've got these white strands of fur showing through. And then I'm going to get the burnt sienna. And my Dyck Brown. Just going to really darken in between those fur strands. Okay, and then I want my warm grey 4 over the top of that. Into my coal grey 2 as we come up this paw. And then the warm grey 2 back to the white. Okay, and then I'm going to take my burnt umber again. Really want to get this little bit of fur mapped in. Just going to take my white along those white, where I've got those white lines. It's not looking as bright as I'd like. There we go. Okay, and then I can just work in between there again to blend that out. Just going to take my cinnamon. Blend that cinnamon outwards. Okay, that side of the foot looks better. Right, I'm just going to go back to my coal grey 2 along here. And my coal grey 3. So what I'm doing now is I'm going back over these toes, looking at just the drawing itself, obviously keeping in mind the fur direction. Warm grey 4. And I'm just making sure everything looks smoothly blended. The beige red. And how I want my drawing itself to look. And my coal grey 1. Right, I just need to darken that foot up, so I'm going to go in with my warm grey 2, this leg up I mean, so we're just going to darken behind the paw a little bit more with the warm grey 2. And blend that outwards, and then over the top of that with a coal grey 2. Like so, and there we have a fluffy cat toe or paws. This is just the white. Okay, now we've got a really fluffy foot in there. So I think I want to get this bit of black in, and then we can blend it into that foot. So I'm actually going to start off with coal grey 1 as the base layer, and I'm going to bring it down here for now. And I'm pressing hard. I want this to smooth that too for the paper. Now you can go, once we've done this grey, warm grey 1 base layer, you can go straight in with your black. But what I want to do is I want to use blue, my dark indigo, as an undertone. So something to add more depth to my black. And by pulling in the dark indigo, I'm giving my black a cooler look to itself. So it's going to look cooler in tone. And it's also going to play to the fact that we've used a lot of cold grey in our kittens drawing. Okay, so nearly there. Right, so that is cold grey 1 as the base layer. So I'm going to get my dark indigo. Okay, now with the dark indigo, I'm going to just follow the shape as if it's curving round. So like it's on a, like this kitten's on an armchair, just curving it round. As we add that black in, you're not going to see it as much. And I'm making sure that that dark indigo goes right up. Right, sorry, the wash machine was going off. So I'm bringing the dark indigo right up to that paw, making sure that there's no white halo. And obviously we will be getting the black pencil in and around this paw and on the paw to blend it. But we're going to make sure that we've got this dark indigo almost as another base layer underneath this paw. Now I've not made this section as large as the section in the reference photo, and that's because I didn't want it to be the main part of the portrait. With it being such a dark area, that's quite a straight edge here. I didn't want it to take away the focal. I wanted the focus to be on the kitten, especially those blue eyes. I think when you look at this portrait, the first thing you see is those bright blue eyes. And that's what I wanted to keep. So we've not added as much of this corner in, which is fine. This is where your artistic license comes in, and you can edit and change and chop a photo up to how you want it to look. Okay, so I've nearly got this layer down, and then I'll be coming in with a black. And I feel like I want to darken some more of this leg up. I might actually end up darkening quite a bit of the kitten up again, we'll see. I do think I'm going to do another part though, just to finish off this kitten, especially this darker area. Right, so I now need my black. And I'm not going to include, obviously there's like a letter, we've got the letter G around here. I'm not going to include that in my drawing. I just want a black colour here. So I'm going to start off by bringing this black, the little details that I can see within the paw. Not pressing hard, don't need to press hard. Just doing this all along this paw, little fur strokes. And you can see that we need to darken this paw up now that we've got this black in. I'm just going to bring that black down here. And just lightly blend it out, because we're going to blend into some fur there. And I'm going over this tape so that I get that straight edge. Okay. And then I've got that black coming up this paw. Okay, so all I'm doing is just blending that black and creating some little fur lines. And then as I've done that, bringing that black pencil down and covering up that dark indigo. And we will do another layer over this. Get it nice and smooth. We just want that general look to our paw. As you can see. And then as we come up here, it's a straighter edge, so I'm just going to use a harder pressure. The sharp point, make sure we get that sharp edge. And then I can use hard pressure. So I'm pressing really hard to build up this black. And just move the pencils out of the way. We're just building up all this black fur, black material. And you can see I've pressed here with harder pressure. You can see the difference in pressure. We're going to darken up this other side in a minute. Just going to make sure that this looks really smooth. Okay, right, so as we come back down here, I'm just going to resharpen my black pencil. Okay, so with the sharp end of the pencil, I'm just going to use harder pressure, really define these fur strokes within that we've merged into our paw. And then we can darken the rest of this material without worrying that we've not darkened the rest of the black areas. So I've done that, so I'm going to just come in now with this black pencil and just make it hard pressure, really build up that tone. So you can see just how much we need to darken that fur of the white paw. So this is why I'm not worried about rushing. Just really want, to build it up nicely. So I'm going to go back into that paw now with the warm grey 5 and make sure I've got my piece of paper, because I can no longer just rest on the tape, it's covered in black. So I'm going to use the warm grey 4 just to darken the bottom of these, this side of the paw first, and the cold grey 4, which is there. So we're just going over what we've done with the colours that we've already used, just to darken up again. And you can see already they're just building up that nice depth to the fur, and the coal grey too. Okay. Coal grey 3. As I come up this toe. So this is why I don't ever rush. You don't have to go in straight away with your darks. Coal grey 4. I'd rather take my time, like we've done with this toe, with these toes. Build up our colours, and then if we need to go darker, we can. And my coal grey 2. Just gonna get my warm grey 3. Now, if you feel brave enough to go straight in with the darker colours, go straight in and go straight in with your darks. I like to take my time and just build up those colours. Going back to my burnt umber, just adding a bit more depth. And my cinnamon. But I would rather just take it slowly and build it up exactly how we need to. Warm grey 4 again. So I'm bringing that warm grey 4 up through that black and then onto the paw. Warm grey 3. And already, just by building up, you see the difference in these paws to here, just by building up that colour. And make sure that your warm grey 4 is going down here and then up. So everything just looks nicely blended. Just take that black where you need it. Warm grey 3. And then my cinnamon. Oh, sorry, excuse me. My burnt umber. And the coal grey 3 for this paw. And the warm grey 3. As I come up here, back to my warm grey 4, sorry. Blend that upwards and outwards into there, and the coal grey 2. Back to that cinnamon. Remember, as we're building up more layers, we're just adding to the depth. Warm grey 4, you're just adding to the depth of your fur. And the warm grey 3. And I'm also just going to take my warm grey 3 down this side, because we know we now need to just darken this leg up a little bit more. Blend that outwards, and then your warm grey 2. Warm grey 4, warm grey 5. It's darker down here, so I'm just going to take that warm grey 5, blend along that bottom area here as well. Warm grey 3. So can you see the difference that we've made just by coming back in and darkening up these areas? And we could have, like I say, you could have gone straight in with this depth, but this is exactly how I would work. I would work back and forth between areas. Coal grey 2. Building up those tones. And you could have come straight in with this black, but the reason I did this after was, one, I wanted the paws in so we could work the black into the paws. But also, like I've mentioned previously, the black pencil does smudge. So leaving it as layered as possible is always better. And then I'm going to take my coal grey one. Over this paw. This leg, sorry. My burnt umber. Where's the Van Dyck Brown? I'm just going to do the Van Dyck Brown. It's a bit darker in colour. There we go. And there we have our paw and leg. Actually, I'm just going to get my warm grey free again. Just going to, I feel like we can darken in here. So, warm grey 4. Let's make this darker. Need a really sharp warm grey 4. And with a warm grey 4, we're just going to start to darken. Oops. This part of the chest. So this gives you an indication of how dark we're going to go. That up here, and then the warm grey 3. And then I'm going to take that white. And blend. And yeah, that looks better there. So we're starting to build up some more depth within this fur. So I'm going to leave this tutorial here. I'm not going to go any further because we've got this dark section of fur which is going to take a little bit of building up again. So we will build up this bit of fur in the next part and finish our cat by re-going over any areas that we need to darken now that we've got some more darks in. So let me zoom you out. So he just cuts off at the top of the ears, but this is where we are with our kitten. So I hope you've enjoyed this part of the tutorial and doing the paw. So like I say, the next part we will get our kitten finished. If you've got any questions, do leave them down below. And I will see you all in the final part. Bye everybody.